Right, I think I'm in and live now on Facebook, I think. So I'm just going to give everybody a moment just to settle in. Oh, there's a few people there already, which is absolutely lovely. So great. Yeah, I'm just getting confirmation that I am live and hopefully everybody can hear me okay. And I will just get my screen share up. Ready? So there we go. Hopefully everybody can see that okay. Nearly there. Super. So welcome to my talk, which is about self-actualization for women. And actually I call it Be True to You. That's my signature course that I run. So hang on just a moment. I am just going to hide myself because it's a bit distracting when you can see yourself. Super. So I'm here to talk about Be True to You, self-actualization for women. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining my talk this morning. I'm really, really pleased to have you here, anybody that's watching now or anyone who's watching back later. My name is Rebecca Barabich, as you can see, and I'm a coach and a healer. So I've not been doing it for that long. I launched my business, which is called Heron Moon, in January 2020. So it's a year old. So I'm sure you can imagine January 2020 was a bit of a funny time to launch a business, but little did I know what was going to ensue when I started last year. But you know, I think we have to adjust and adapt to whatever comes our way, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So I provide services that are mainly for women, but certainly not exclusively. I trained as a life coach about 15 years ago, and actually as a sound practitioner last year. This was following kind of a real intuitive urge to play the Tibetan singing bowls. And I find that the coaching and the sound healing work well together. I think you can have one without the other, obviously, and there are many people that do, but there are also people that quite often partake in both. So that's kind of like my niche, if you like the coaching and the sound healing together. And my aim is to help people feel better about themselves and just about life in general, really, through both of those mediums. And my services encourage spiritual connection and mindfulness practice too. And also to say that I run a women's circle with my mate of 30 years. It's called Awakening Women's Circle, and it meets twice a month. Actually, we're meeting this evening, and it's in line with the moon cycles. And that has been just like a real gift, actually, and been really comforting for women during the madness of last year. I think it's created that real nice safe space for women to be able to share. And we've just started to do online day retreats too, so we're going to be doing one of those on Sunday next week. And also we really hope, like, our vision for the future is to be able to do like in-person weekend trips and things like that, so as soon as we are able to do so. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking about self-actualization for women, and it really is a subject that's close to my heart, and it really forms the basis of the the foundation of my signature group coaching course, which is called Be True to You. And if you don't already follow me on Facebook, please do. Obviously, I'm going to share the links and everything, but it's Facebook Coaching and Sound Healing. And I'm also on Instagram as Heron Magic Moon. And you can check out my website as well, heronmoon.co.uk. And herons are quite a thing, which I'll talk to you about as well. You can see I've got my heron top on today as well, just to make the point. So I'm so pleased to be a part of the IPHM festival. What a wonderful thing to do, and this collaborative event, just bringing everybody together in like holistic wellness and beauty. It's really lovely. So I absolutely jumped at the chance when it came up. And please do follow IPHM. They're a fabulous organisation, and you can find out more about them on the website iphm.co.uk. So, why self-actualization, and what does that actually mean? So I've been interested in this subject for many, many years. I really love this idea of, kind of achieving your full potential. And although I was really kind of like, I was unclear of exactly what self-actualization meant to me, I always had this kind of like intention that I wanted to find out, and one day I want to find out what this means for me. And in a way, I still do. I think there's probably a lot of people out there that feel similar to me. And this term is mostly associated with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So yeah, just to say here, self-actualization, this is from dictionary.com, is the achievement of one's full potential through creativity, independence, spontaneity, and grasp of the real world. That's one explanation. There's many out there. But yeah, just it comes from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and but it's not just him. There is other interpretation. There was Kurt Goldstein and also Carl Rogers as well, but they contributed quite extensively to this concept. But the most well known, and perhaps the one that has the most traction, is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you can see that here on the screen. The idea of we have basic needs and psychological needs, and it's only once those have been achieved that we can really kind of meet our true potential. This idea of self-actualization. Now that Maslow himself does admit that there wasn't, it wasn't. There's not a lot of scientific backup for this. And there wasn't a huge amount of peer review at the time in 1943. It was just pretty much clear. And there's been about it. I mean, you can move, for example. Some people are saying like you can jump ahead in blocks as well. You don't necessarily, there are people that are but they are creative, they're taking part in creative pursuits. The idea being that in order to really so this concept emerged out of humanistic psychology, which is a holistic approach. And it begins with this assumption that we have free will and we're motivated to achieve our potential anyway in the first place. And it was developed really as a rebellion to Freud.
Rebecca, I'm so sorry to interrupt. There's a real muffled noise coming through when you're talking, so we can hardly hear you talking. Have you got a microphone on?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I can't work out what it is because everybody's muted, but there's a funny noise coming through.
Oh, what a shame. Okay, I tell you what I could try. Let me try. Oh dear.
It seems all right now.
Does it?
Don't know. Yeah, that's weird. Just try again, and I'll let you know if it happens again.
Oh, what a shame. All right, thanks so much. But
No worries.
it sorts itself out.
All right, sorry. Go on.
Oh. We'll give it a go. We'll try carrying on, I guess. Thanks. Oh dear, what a shame. Hopefully you can hear me all right now. Let me have a look and see. Oh dear. Anyway, I'll carry on and we'll hope for the best. We have to just accept, I guess, and surrender to whatever happens. Yeah, so sorry, where was I? So yes, it kind of it was developed as a rebellion really to this psychodynamic and also behavioral psychology. So psychodynamic is, Freud will be the most well known, which is based on like unconscious and irrational instinctive forces determining human thought and behavior, and behaviorism, which is stimulus response, and that's all dependent on animal research. And you may well have I'm sure there's lots of studies and things that you will be familiar with if you've looked at psychology, like Skinner and so on and so forth. But this humanistic psychology was kind of led to like a person-centered approach, and that was developed by Rogers. And he basically suggested that clients would be better helped if they're encouraged to focus on their current subjective understanding rather than on a subconscious motive or someone else's interpretation of the situation. I've just thought maybe if I put airplane mode on my phone, that will help. Try that. So yeah, so it says here like what this idea of a self-actualized person is most likely to be. So just see if any of these things really resonate with you, if you can relate. So a self-actualized person will most likely find humor in a given situation, enjoy and feel satisfied by the present moment, understand what they need in order to gain a sense of fulfillment, and feel secure and unashamed of who they are. So yeah, so this idea of Rogers' theory of self or self-concept is defined by the organized, consistent set of perceptions and beliefs about oneself. So it consists of all the ideas and values that characterize I and me, and it includes perception and valuing of what I am and what I can do. And Maslow said it's loosely described as the full use and exploitation of talents, capabilities, potentialities. So people fulfilling themselves and doing the best they're capable of doing. And these are people who have developed or are developing to full stature of which they are capable. So coaching techniques have really been developed from this perspective. And that's obviously what I trained in many, many years ago. However, I'm sure you will agree with me that to be self-actualized is, for many people, the exception rather than the rule. So why would you want to be self-actualized? Well, according to many scholars, self-actualized people have peak experiences. So that, you know, that feeling like you can see in the picture then you're at the top of a mountain and, you know, you feel connected. They possess self-acceptance and a democratic worldview. They're realistic. They tend to be problem-centered, which sounds weird, but that's actually just that a problem comes along and they will deal with it, basically. They're autonomous, so they have control over their, they feel as if they have control to the extent that we can have control, of course. But, you know, they feel like they've got agency, I suppose. They enjoy solitude and privacy and have a good sense of humor that's not based on making fun of other people, I suppose. And they can laugh at themselves. They're spontaneous and they actually enjoy and immerse themselves in the journey. They're not always trying to get somewhere. Now, I don't know about you, but that really just sounds good to me. It'd be interesting. If you've got any comments to say in the chat, I'll be reading them at the end. So do let me know. So why self-actualization for women. Well, I'm a woman, and as such, I just feel better able to resonate and to relate to women. And also, when I looked into self-actualization, it was 80 years ago, and you can imagine the landscape was very different there. So Maslow actually thought that self-actualization was only possible for women. In America, he was talking about if the woman can realize her own potential through her husband and children. Yeah, there's loads more that you can read about that on Maslow on women, wordpress.com. It's really quite interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's probably more that can be looked at in terms of women and self-actualization. You know, for me, if we've got this idea that self-actualization happens when we've got all our ducks in the row, or at the top of the pyramid, clearly women are disproportionately burdened by the realism of childcare and household duties in contrast to their male counterparts. I mean, I think that has got to be a given. And I feel like my experience, what I can bring to other women in terms of self-actualization, is my own experiences and kind of my journey, what I've been on. So that's kind of like what I would like to talk a little bit about now. So let's have a go forward. My story. So there's me looking quite a bit younger. So yeah, I mean, I was a young mum. I went to uni, and I studied communication studies at university, and I got a good degree and everything. But I finished uni as a single parent, with my 2-year-old son in tow. So my potential to self-actualize was pretty well hindered, you could say, right from the start. But nevertheless, I made my way in the world, in the working world, and I progressed from a customer sales rep to sales management pretty quickly, really. And then I went on to business sales, and eventually I got into marketing and events, and most recently PR. So I was really kind of career focused, I guess. And I think that it would be true to say that a lot of that is ego-driven as well. And I think that, you know, that was 20 years ago. So I do think that things are changing all of the time, but especially at that time, you had to be really, you really had to take on like masculine traits and stuff to be able to push yourself in what is essentially like a man's world. But I climbed the corporate ladder, and I did enjoy the perks of capitalist kind of economy, and having a new car, and I've been on some amazing trips, and I've got a lovely house and things like that. So I have to admit that my ego really enjoyed it, and I think looking back now, it was almost like a form of addiction. So I was constantly striving for that next sort of hit of achievement, really. And I felt the buzz of a pay rise or a nice bonus and things like that. So I find I got into this trap of really constantly chasing that, really. And in a way, I don't regret it. I did enjoy it, and I loved a lot of it. But it was partly driven by this desire for validation, and a need to survive as well. I was quite a lot of time in my life, I've been the main breadwinner, and I've had to make money, and that is a whole other like long story that I won't go into right now. But yeah, there was this kind of, we get trapped, don't we? We need to survive, and we get really into this systematic way of working and being. But the strain was beginning to show. And actually, looking back, the strain was there for many, many years. And, I suffered with stress, and I had bouts of depression, and I hid it. My work life and my home life were separate. They were two different things. So I put on a persona to go to work, and there's this idea that you can't show any weakness at work, and this idea that mental health problems are seen as a weakness. So that this thing of go to work and then sort of cry all the way home or whatever, it's possible to be really high achieving and be suffering from quite a lot of stress and depression, and that would come out in various different ways. And I feel like in many ways it really started to show through burnout and health issues. So I have gum disease, and that developed probably about in my 30s, so quite early on really, and an underactive thyroid that I was diagnosed with as well. And I, latterly, like right at the end last year, I really started to hear myself saying, I can't cope with this anymore. And it was a kind of mantra, it became a thing that I said a lot. I can't cope with this anymore. I can't cope with this anymore. And I did felt that classic thing of like, I can't please people at work, and I can't please my children or my family. I can't, I was robbing off Peter to pay Paul, that idea that you just can't be everything to everybody all of the time. And I was so tired. And you just, if you're constantly trying to keep up and you're on a treadmill, like trying to keep up, trying to keep up, it will um it will cause you quite a lot of like internal anxiety and the lack of joy, I suppose. But with all this going on, I had stages of awakening, and I was always interested in psychology, and I did the life coaching diploma where I always felt this pull, this niggle, this kind of like this drive to want to do something different. I've read a lot of psychology. I've read a lot of self-help books. I had all these concepts and all these ideas, and I kept kind of trying, if you like, to break free. So I was married. I'm on my second marriage now, but I was married for 8 years, and I had, I suppose, a first awakening around the time that led up to my marriage breaking down, and us deciding to split. And we knew it wasn't working. And I think this idea of self-actualization is that you do know you've got these feelings inside of you. And for me, music really spoke to me a lot. I remembered this morning actually this idea of darkness before the dawn, and kind of hitting rock bottom. Around the time that I kind of had that first awakening, I was listening a lot to a song by Florence and the Machine, and it's called God, I can't remember what it's called now. Anyway, can't remember what it's called, but I'll have to put it on the group afterwards. But there's Shake It Out, there we go. But there's the words in it, it's I can see no way, and all of the ghouls come out to play, and the demon wants his pound of flesh. And then this idea that it's always darkness before the dawn. And I used to sing it in the car, and I used to play it, and I used to feel this kind of surge of energy inside of me that I needed to change things, that something was kind of building inside of me. And I feel that was really, really powerful. And around that time as well, I got really creative too. So I wrote a lot of poetry, and I had the real realization that I was living for everybody else, and I needed to make change. And when we decided to split, things did start to make sense then, but it was kind of scary. Obviously, the fear is what often holds you back. It was scary, kind of stepping out and making changes. But and I do wonder now whether having a child young and being denied that period of freedom and growth early on, um, during and after uni, had just saying left a hole that needed filling in some way. But I had this innate belief in a higher power, and it was that that really got me through. And I just started to have these moments where I really felt connected. Again, I'd be really interested to know if anybody else kind of can relate to this, but there's moments like I can remember um, just going outside first thing in the morning and just listening to the birds sing, something really simple like that. And I feel nature is something that really does connect us, and just feeling that um, feeling of a spiritual connection. And then running became a massive part of my life. And I ran the marathon at 40, which was a massive achievement. And there's a picture of me there looking great. I just finished it like friendships came along to support me, and I just really started to surrender to following my intuition. Um, and just messages and signs and things like that as well. So yeah, so I kind of like things came up like my husband that I'm now married to. Um, Actually, a funny story was that I went to get my hair done, and I was told by a psychic hairdresser I was going to meet him, to meet this man from the Mediterranean, and about a week later I did, which was really cool. But yeah, so lots of things like that kind of happened, but it would be another 7 years before I actually took this big step um, into, I suppose, more of my true self. But yeah, so I'd started to speak my truth and so on, but I wasn't ready yet to really break free. I still had this kind of dual existence in a way of playing a certain role in work and enjoying parts of it, but then being different inside, and feeling different, feeling that there was more. um, and I couldn't see, practically I couldn't see a way out, because I did have debt at that point, and I also had a large mortgage, and I was used to earning a lot of money. So this on a practical level, it was difficult to think about what steps I could take to do anything different. And psychology was something that always interested me, and coaching and healing and stuff. But how could I give up a really well paid job to basically earn nothing? But I feel like once you kind of start to speak your truth, the universe just has this way of kind of coming together to make things happen for you. And my next big step, I suppose, came after, if you're going back to self-actualization and back to this idea of the pyramid, I it came after I was settled, after I had married Ronnie, and I had found a place to really feel at home, which is where I am now. Um, and then there was a book, lots of books, but The Untethered Soul is one that I always refer to, that was really important in my journey. So that really helped me to start to open up and to kind of really follow, what was on my what was deep inside my soul. So yeah, so I started to really speak my truth at that time. And it once I started, it was almost impossible to stop. And I had this new boss last year, and I heard myself saying to him, when he said, "What do you want?" And in this normal kind of like work goal setting conversation, I said, "I want to work for myself," which just sort of came out. And I just started to say, like, this is what I love doing, and this is what anyway, it all worked out really well for me, because I managed to I exited that job at the end of last year. And one thing led to another. Let's just say that the universe does come together to support you when you take these leaps. And I was getting all of these messages at the time to do that. I was getting messages from oracle cards and so on to follow, you know, to follow and to leap into things. And that was about the time that I learned how to play the Tibetan singing bowls as well, which again is another story. But yeah, I just started to practice speaking my truth, and I started to get this real vision in my mind of who I was and what I wanted to be. And I'm quite a visual person. I started to see myself, funnily enough, with my nose pierced, which sounds like a really small thing, but it represented a change for me, because in the corporate environment that I was in, it was the sort of thing that you couldn't really have. So the minute that I left my job that day, I got my nose pierced. So I kind of like had this vision. And the other thing was that I um, I was seeing herons, and I'd been seeing herons for a long, long time, but you know, I started to see them even more than ever. So just keeping an eye on the time, because I know I'm going to ramble on for too long if I don't. So yeah, so it was really these herons, they just used to turn up for me. And just to give you a little bit of an idea, and when I looked them up, your heron is like about standing on your own 2 feet. It's about independence, and it's about being capable and making decisions that are good for you and following your own path. So you know, it was all there. And it's funny, once I decided heron and moons again, I've always been interested in moon cycles and stuff, so Heron Moon just naturally came together at the beginning of last year. And I feel like it really is this following your truth and this journey towards self-actualization for me. But I know I'm really sorry about the picture. It doesn't look particularly impressed, but I just liked it. Yeah, so this is only the beginning. You know, I'm far from self-actualized. There's a lot more to come. And you know, one of the things that I've done this year is I've helped lots of other people to follow their, you know, to start on their journey. So these are my top tips. Self-care. Self-care is so important. And on my course, Be True to You, it's where we start, really. We start and we end with self-care. Because if you take care of yourself, then everything else will start to fall into place. You need to establish your values. You need to follow your joy, and journaling will help you do that. I'd really advise taking a course in mindfulness, because mindfulness is the real basis of, you know, mindfulness is about being in the moment, isn't it? And I just feel that it gives you that real strong basis. Read everything you're interested, find your tribe, trust your intuition, and look for signs and symbols, you know, and have fun with it, but expect to have setbacks along the way. For me, you know, I feel like COVID has really reminded us of so many things, and we can use that in a positive way as well. My next steps are to do a psychology master's that I'm starting at the end of this month, to write, to continue to do art, um, to learn Spanish, to have a retreat in Spain, and all sorts of ideas, lots and lots of things for the future. And it's exciting. So just to, before I go, just to tell you a little bit about my course, Be True to You, which is about self-realization. I ran it 3 times last year, and I met some wonderful women, and they've done some amazing things, like start their own businesses, lose loads of weight, step into their truth. You know, it's been a really amazing journey, and I have amazing clients as well that I'm coaching one-to-one. So yeah, just to let you know that the next course starts on the 25th of January. I've got taster sessions and next week and the week after, and you get 10% off the course as well. if that's something that you're interested in. And I've got lots of other offerings, so have a look at what I do. I've got things in my shop you can print off, like instructions to create your vision board. I've got lovely journal prompts that you can print off for establishing your vision for this year. We've got Awakening Women's Circle events, the retreat I mentioned, sound healing events. The Heron Moon community is lovely. It's really supportive, and it's full of women that are like-minded. It really is, and it's great to be a part of it. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. I will I'll check in with the chat once I've stopped sharing my screen, but that's it. And let me have a look. So yeah, please do check out my website and my social media. I'd be really happy to answer any questions that you've got. And I'm just going to have a look at the chat and see.